welcome to week 3 of Healing Through Self-Hypnosis. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to do prep work for creating your own hypnosis session. So today this is week 3 of Healing Through Self-Hypnosis, and we're going to talk about hypnotic states, conscious versus subconscious, and then writing your own hypnotic induction. So we're going to do a little review for those of you who weren't able to participate in the last 2 sessions. So it's a process of waking up from within inside yourself. And it's more like a guided meditation with purpose and intention. It's going into a deep meditative state, which is kind of accessing your subconscious, but there's a specific purpose of a behavior change that you want to make. The hypnosis is this natural state of mind, and we go into light hypnosis often during our day when we are daydreaming or we're driving and we're not really paying attention to driving. So we might be daydreaming when we get to our final destination, like, oh, how did I get here so fast? Because our minds are kind of drifting off. So that's a state of hypnosis. And you can do it yourself. So the hypnotherapist is really just a coach or a guide. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Just like when you go to work out with a coach, you're doing the work yourself. The coach is just kind of guiding you in one direction or another and helping you decide what to do, but you're actually doing the work. And it's the same with hypnosis. So you can do it yourself, and that's what we're going to do today. And you're always in control. And you'll never do anything under hypnosis that you wouldn't do in a normal state of mind. You can come out of hypnosis at any time. Some people are more susceptible to suggestion than others, but everyone is always in control of their state. Focus and relaxation equals receptive to new ideas. When you are in that deep state of hypnosis or trance, when you're very focused and you're very relaxed, you are receptive and open to new ideas, and new thoughts, new behaviors will result out of that. Purpose of hypnosis is to change perceptions that you might have about how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. And it's usually about a specific aspect of yourself. I'm going to play this video, and it's like it's about 3 minutes, and it kind of just another way to explain self-hypnosis. And it's a little bit of an advertisement for an app that you can use that has tools on there for doing self-hypnosis and guided meditation.
Would you like to free your mind of negative thoughts and feelings and be calm, confident, relaxed and successful in all situations? As our lives unfold, difficult times which challenges inevitably arise, critical moments, and how we choose to respond to them defines the direction of the next chapter. As a result of what we learn, we automatically, hypnotically start to respond to situations which feel similar in the same way, sometimes even when it's no longer relevant or appropriate. And over time, we often forget why it started happening in the first place. When clients relax in the very comfortable chair in my office, and I ask them what brings them to see me, they want to experience hypnosis, and sometimes have the belief that all they need do is go to sleep. Let me operate like a brain surgeon, and when they awake, everything will be sorted. Perhaps they've seen stage hypnosis shows which imply hypnotists take over their mind and make you do things that you wouldn't normally do. However, those shows are clever illusions, and that's not really how it works. The participants are carefully selected volunteers. It's a little bit like choosing to do karaoke. The mission of the 21st century hypnotherapist is that of rapid empowerment. Hypnosis is actually highly focused attention and concentration, often associated with relaxation. Hypnotherapists work with their clients, not on them. Our real task is actually to wake people up, to de-hypnotize them, so they can make good, conscious choices and learn to live and excel in the present moment. We are guides who can help create a space that allows you to make the necessary changes in perspective that lead to greater success, love, peace, and contentment, much more quickly than if you had to work it all out for yourself from the beginning. And when the time is right, when you've had enough of the old way and reached the turning point, when you trust in the guide, then change can occur quickly. Today, the advances in neuroscience have proven that when you maintain those changes in perspective through relaxing self-hypnosis and meditation, then you can create real and long-lasting positive effects on the health of your mind and body. And that power is at your fingertips. You have the opportunity to start doing this immediately through our award-winning mobile apps and audio and video downloads. So just visit the website to access your free self-hypnosis, relaxation and meditation app or MP3. And you can continue your journey to inner calm, greater clarity and more success right now. Wishing you an abundance of health, harmony and happiness.
I left that part of the video going, the sort of advertisement for hypnosisappstore.com, because even though I haven't looked at it yet, I thought maybe some people want to try it out and see if it's helpful. Because it sounds like it might be pretty cool, so I'm going to actually check that out. I thought maybe people were wondering, well, how does hypnosis work, and how does it work compared to other types of therapies? And I wanted to point out that there was some studies done. What the study showed was that 93% of patients or clients recover after 6 sessions of hypnotherapy. If they do cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, after 22 sessions, 72% will achieve their goals. And then for regular psychoanalysis, they take 600 sessions and only 38% recover or accomplish their goals. So when you're in talk therapy, you're staying up in your conscious mind, and your conscious mind can't always understand why you're having these behaviors or why you're doing these things, because your conscious mind is sort of there to help you survive and function in the world and solve problems. Hypnosis goes deeper into your subconscious, and that's where really everything's happening. All the behaviors, that's where they got developed, within your subconscious mind. So these programs that are running in our mind, that's where they are. And so if you can change those unconscious or subconscious reactions, therefore you can change your behaviors. So it has to go deeper than in your conscious mind, and it just takes a lot longer if you do it that way. So hypnosis also depends on how motivated you are to making these changes and how committed you are, because even though we might have a successful hypnotherapy session, and if we just kind of go home and just think everything's going to change, sometimes it does, but more often it's a conscious effort. It's almost like going to the gym, and then you have to maintain going to the gym or maintain that exercise over a period of time in order for it to really stick and to create longer lasting change in your body. You have to keep working out. And so similar to diet, you might eat really well for a week and you're going to feel great and you're like, all right, I'm good. And then you go back to your old diet, you're going to start feeling crappy again. So it's very similar. You got to keep it up, and you do that through continue to listen to the tapes or the recordings of the hypnosis session itself, or moving on to the next thing that you want to work on, or doing meditation and kind of focusing back in on whatever it is that you worked on during your hypnosis session. Will I lose control or be under a spell when I'm under hypnosis? What I wanted to point out here is it's not about being unconscious. It's really about changing your unconscious mind. And that's where our fears, our phobias, limiting beliefs, and our habits, that's where everything is stored, because we've been doing these for most of our lives, especially the ones that we don't like or we want to change, and positive ones as well. So it's not everything is bad, right? We have really good habits. Usually we don't need to worry about those. We want to change the ones that aren't really giving us what we need in our lives, or where we feel stuck. The other thing about this myth is that I will lose control is that if that was true, if I was able to control someone else's behavior by putting them under hypnosis, don't you think that it would be a very closely guarded secret on the planet, and that it would be used to make people do things that they might not normally do? If I can control someone else, I would have them do it. I'll have them go rob the bank. So entering hypnosis is a consent state. It's always under consent. It's very difficult to hypnotize someone if they don't want to be hypnotized or if they don't consent to it. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. The hypnotist is there to assist or guide or coach the subject, and the person is actually hypnotizing themselves. So the coach is just there to guide them along. And it does help you access your subconscious, and that way you can approach the problem from both levels, conscious level and subconscious level. So the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So the conscious mind, I think we're probably all pretty familiar with. That's how we function in the world every day, how we make decisions and go about our business and do our jobs and take care of our families and ourselves. It's this mental processing that happens that we can think and we can talk about it rationally. Subconscious often is something that we're not so familiar with because it guides our behavior, but it doesn't necessarily make any sense sometimes. Like we don't really understand it. It's everything that we've learned, right? From the day that we were conceived, the day we were born, our upbringing. Most of the things that we've learned happened before we were the age of 10, influenced by our parents, our caregivers, our teachers. And at that point in time, we are just sort of an open book, especially our subconscious mind is really wide open to external factors. And so we are taught during that time how to behave in society. And we also, our subconscious mind is more active and more aware or more present, I guess. And it enables us to survive during that period of our lives. When we're children, we might have difficult circumstances, and our caregivers might not be giving us what we need, or we might be in very abusive situations, emotionally or physically or otherwise. So we have to find survival skills, and when that happens and then we grow up, those things stay with us, and they might not be serving us as adults. So this is a way to access those and try to shift those to something that does serve us. The subconscious directs our conduct through these habits, these emotions, these perceptions that we've created throughout our lives based on survival mechanisms and our environments. And then these memories and beliefs and these fears that we've sort of built up over the years, these are our subjective maps of reality. So when you say perception is reality, so if I believe something, it's real to me. If you believe the opposite, it's real to you. So our truth, like my truth and your truth, are different. So my truth is that nature is a really positive place to be. It's refreshing, it's energizing, I feel connected to the earth, the fresh air just makes me feel better. But that's because that's been my experience. Now, someone else might have been lost in the woods when they were a child somehow, and they were really scared, and it took a while for their parents to find them. And so being in nature could be very traumatic to them. So their perception and their truth of nature is not positive. So we have subjective truths and perceptions about the world based on our experiences. Hypnosis helps you access your subconscious. We all have the resources within us to change our behaviors and our perspectives on things. And hypnosis is a great way for us to access those resources that we already have inside of us. So we can sometimes go into sort of a dark hole, and we believe when we're in that dark hole, I know I've experienced this sometimes. I've just had days or weeks where I'm just sort of curled up in a ball and I have this dark cloud and I feel like I can't do anything about it. But the truth is that through practice, hypnotherapy, meditation, and a number of other things, other tools, we can actually shift our pattern of thinking. And even if we have those moments of deep sadness, which is part of being human, we are able to recognize maybe what the source of that is and address it or acknowledge it or care for it, and then we can move past it and move out of it, and then we can go on to celebrate life and be in a more positive state of mind. So genetics is another part of this story. We inherit certain things from our caregivers, our parents, our families, even society. If our parents were abused as children, they might have certain behaviors, even though they might not abuse us. Certain behaviors that they act towards their children or towards us kind of comes through, maybe indirectly. So genetics is a big part of this. We're not going to go into too much depth about this, but it might be something you want to research. It can also be called epigenetics, EPI genetics, and it's a really interesting resource to learn about how we inherit certain things from our parents that don't belong to us. So we can change that part of us as well through hypnosis, and sometimes we can reverse even physical illness through hypnosis or through our mind, because we're not just a biological machine, right? We're not just victims. And there's a movie, I don't know if I mentioned this, called Heal, H-E-A-L.
I've seen that. It's really good.
Yeah, and that movie is it's a documentary, and it shows examples of how people use their mind to heal their bodies when the medical system wasn't able to. So hypnosis is a state of focused awareness or focused attention, heightened suggestibility and fantasies. For it's that stage between being awake and being asleep. daydreaming, being in the zone, and we're in a hypnotic state and we might look like we're sleepy or we're zoned out, but in reality, you're in a state of hyper awareness, hyper focused. And that's how you are able to create change, is by being super focused on whatever it is, the change that you want to make. This slide shows 4 different wave patterns that they talk about in hypnosis. I'm going to start from the left side actually, because beta, which is alertness and cognition, is pretty much what we are in the state right now. We are alert, we're focused, we're having conversation, we're learning something new. So this is like most of the time during our day, we are in this state of, this is our brainwave pattern is beta. And then we go into alpha. This might be a time when we're kind of resting or lying down. We're not really quite sleeping yet. We might be in a light trance state. Theta is when we're dreaming, and this is REM sleep. We're deeply relaxed. And delta is like very deep trance, and we have a loss of body awareness. And so what is hypnotherapy? When you're in a hypnotic state, you're usually somewhere between alpha and theta. That's the goal, because you want to be relaxed / deeply relaxed. So it's sort of an in between those two. Question: how do we make changes in our lives? So Heather, do you have anything you want to share about how do you make changes in your life?
I just started reading this book. It's called Atomic Habits.
Oh, I read that. It's fantastic.
I think incremental change that is consistent and there's motivation for.
That was beautiful. Incremental change that is consistent and you're motivated to do.
And what I'm getting from the book is we really have to find the things that are going to motivate us, and so we're not like fighting against a habit.
Right.
We're motivated towards something.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I think you actually touched on that when you were in the very first class. You were saying if you put your workout clothes on when you get dressed in the morning, you're more likely to get out the door.
Exactly, yeah, and that came directly from that book. So how do we make changes? Here's some ways that we can make changes. We can change our diet. Our diet plays such a huge role in how we feel and how motivated we are, and our moods, and just about every aspect of our lives. If we're giving ourselves nutrition that is good for us, and for every person that could be different. Following our intuition means paying attention to how we're feeling on a day-to-day basis. How much energy do we have? Herbs and supplements kind of goes along with diet. Number 5 and 6, I think, are most relevant to hypnotherapy. So we want to release suppressed emotions. Like if you lost a family member when you were young, you might not have known how to deal with that loss or that grief, because maybe you were a child or a teenager and a parent died and nobody was there to support you. You didn't know how to release these emotions. You hold on to them. So hypnotherapy can help you access that sort of deep emotional trauma and allow you to release it, but in a safe space, because when you're in the trance state, you're more able to access that without fear or less fear. Increasing positive emotions is another thing that hypnotherapy can do, and we've talked about that in previous classes, where we might have negative thinking patterns that have been in our minds for a large part of our lives. Might be it's self-deprecation. I'm no good. I'm not good enough. I'm not creative enough. I'm afraid. And then if we can shift the way that we think about ourselves into more positive ways and positive emotions, then that will obviously shift the way that we see the world and interact with the world. So the last 3, embracing social support. It's been well known that the more support we have from our families or friends or communities, that helps us to be more positive in our lives. Deepening a spiritual connection, and then having strong reasons for living. So what are we doing with our time? Are we just going to a job that we hate every day, that we have no meaning, or we can't find a connection or a reason for doing it? That's really a big factor of staying in a positive mindset as well. I wanted to invite you to think about a behavior that you want to change in your life. I want to change my eating habits. So let's say that's my goal. What I'd like you to do is think about what behavior, what thing in your life you want to change, so that when I go through this, you can make a little chart on your notepad and fill in the blanks for whatever it is that you're working on. Do you have something that you might want to try?
Yes. When I'm bored or lonely, I eat, usually sweet things.
Okay.
So I can make up a statement for myself from this.
Great.
When I'm not in touch with what I want, I close my eyes and relax for 5 minutes.
If you're watching this video, you can take a moment to fill it out for yourself. So there's three
Okay.
areas that we want to look at. Whatever the habit is, let's say in this case it's eating. When do you do it? I eat when I am nervous.
Right. Yeah, when I don't know how, and it's always when I'm not in touch with how I feel. I know all I need to do is sit and breathe and get in touch with what I feel, and it will be enough. But do I do that? No, I reach for what's familiar,
Yeah.
the quick fix.
And yeah, exactly. That's because that's what we do. If you follow this along, when you've identified when you do the behavior, you have a statement. When I am nervous, I close my eyes and relax for 5 minutes, right? So if you're eating when you're nervous, when I'm nervous, I close my, so instead of eating, this is what you do. So then if you go into the next column, you go down to the next thing on the list. All right, so what was your statement?
When I want a quick fix, so that could be anything, the food or the pot, I close my eyes for 5 minutes and breathe. That'll work for me.
Okay. So there's the three questions: when, where, why. So why are you doing the thing? I eat or smoke when I need companionship. So when I feel lonely, I call a friend.
That one's good too.
And make sure you keep it in a positive present moment. So instead of saying, when I'm nervous, I will close my eyes, or when I'm at a sporting event, I will eat snacks, it's present. So when I'm nervous, I close my eyes. See the difference?
Yeah. When I want a quick fix, I close my eyes for 5 minutes and breathe.
Good.
When I feel lonely, I call a friend.
Great. So these are going to feed into your induction when you create the induction for yourself. So if we continue with the example of weight control, if you're eating too much and then you change that behavior, what are you feeling like afterwards? So I feel trim, fit, and healthy. I have high energy. Easy for me to maintain my new weight. I feel good about myself.
For me, it would be, I have more energy with less food.
Okay, so write that down.
Because I do find that, yeah, and I have more energy when I eat only when I'm hungry, healthy choices.
Great.
And I actually only eat when I'm hungry in the day. So weird. At night, I'm not really hungry when I'm eating. I'm feeding myself a substitute. So I enjoy healthy, nutritious foods, eating only when I'm hungry. That would be good.
Okay. So the purpose of this is that when you're in the trance state, you want to feed your subconscious the positive outcome of what it is you're trying to accomplish.
So then I would say, I have more energy eating this way.
Perfect. What you're trying to do is shift these pathways in your brain that might now say, I just lose control of my eating. I just can't handle it. You have these tapes about yourself. And so we're trying to replace those destructive thought processes with positive ones. So that's the idea behind this. If you're watching the video, write these suggestions for yourself, staying in the present tense, as I mentioned. Stay in the positive. You want to say, I eat healthy, instead of saying, I don't eat junk food. The positive
because the subconscious mind doesn't recognize negatives.
Exactly. All it hears is junk food.
Right, exactly.
Or eating junk food. It doesn't hear the beginning part.
I've just decided to add something to another one. When I feel lonely, I call a friend or watch a movie, which is something I enjoy doing alone.
Awesome.
And then I enjoy healthy food choices, eating only when I feel hungry. I have more energy eating this way.
Awesome.
So the other thing I could do is maybe address motivation or procrastination.
Oh, great. How would you do that?
There's something about taking care of the less enjoyable projects first so that I can enjoy the satisfaction of finishing with a project I love. I initiate essential daily tasks with enthusiasm. so that I can enjoy my favorite tasks to completion.
And you might tweak that later if you find that it's a,
Yeah,
but it's a
yeah.
really
It
good start.
sounds like something I would write, but not something I'd say.
Yeah, well, that's all right. It's a really good start. I think you have all the
Yeah.
elements in there. So here's like kind of the 7 steps or elements. These are the 7 elements. So number 1, we've done this the past 2 weeks of the relaxation. Your homework is to write down the relaxation portion of the induction. Well, because the idea here is that you're going to record this after you write it. You're going to tell yourself, lie down in a comfortable space on your bed or on couch, someplace that's quiet.
Yes.
You won't be disturbed. And then take some deep breaths. And then starting at the top of your head, just let all the stress go. And you can look up some of these on YouTube. There's a ton of them. Relaxation meditations, things like that, if you need ideas. So that's just a part of it. That might be, let's say, 5 minutes of the induction is relaxing. The second part is, we've talked about this in prior weeks as well, is going to your special place. And a special place is where you feel connected to yourself, where you feel at peace, where you feel safe, connected to nature. So that's a description of what that special place is. So let's say, imagine that you're at the beach and you feel the sand on your toes, you smell the salty air, you feel the wind, you hear the birds. So you want to use all of your senses to actually put yourself in this special place, because that's a really important component of getting into that deep hypnosis, is to use all your senses. So be very descriptive of whatever the special place is. The third one is using realistic and logical suggestions to help you think, feel, and act in certain ways. When I get up in the morning, I put on my yoga clothes, go out and I do my stretches, whatever it is, it's very specific. I feel motivated. So those are using the notes that we took in the previous slide with, so you're including these specific objectives from your notes and staying positive in the present. Those are just reminders. So you're including a lot of details. So for example, if you're doing an induction about increasing your exercise, be specific. I leave my house, I walk around the block, and I access the trail near my house. I see other people walking by. I smell the air. I feel my body moving. I feel energized and happy. I'm setting an example for my kids. I am taking charge of my life. I am consistent and dedicated to this new lifestyle. So those are just examples. Those are the post-hypnotic suggestions or hypnotic suggestions, where you're expressing to yourself how you want to be in this new state. If you can't identify how you want it to look, it's going to be very difficult to change a behavior. So if you're working all weekend and you go, I don't want to work all weekend anymore, and I go, well, what are you going to do instead? And you go, I don't know. So why would you stop working if you don't know what you're going to do differently? If I say, what are you going to do differently? Well, I want to go to yoga class, work in my garden, and play with my kids. Okay, so now we have something. So instead of working all weekend, now you've got 3 things that you're going to be doing, and that's what you're going to put into that part of the induction. That's the homework, is to write your own induction. The next step, once you have it written down, is recording it. Once you have it recorded, play it back to yourself. So you're going to have to tweak it, and it's going to change over time. So this one might work for you for a few weeks. Then you notice that the behavior is changing, and then
one has to, listen to the recording in order for it to work.
Exactly. And it's interesting because
so I think it worked as long as I did it.
Right. Some people told me that going through the process, thinking about what behaviors you want to change and how they're going to change into what, and then writing their induction, for some reason, like, they didn't even need to record it or listen to it. Just going through those exercises was enough for them to make the change.
It's interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
And some people listen to the recording and no changes happen. So then usually, if that's the case, there's something deeper that they need to address and clear, because it's preventing them from making the changes that they want to make. And you got to identify what that is. Otherwise, you'll never move on from it. So that's all I have for today. All right. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you.